covers the vast majority of the requirements that the NPDES permit also requires. We have the plans prepared and ready to submit, but I was waiting for tonight to make sure there were no changes before we made that submission. So we are ready, we will be submitting, and that could be a condition of approval. That's really it.
Yeah, the items are, I mean, with the waivers that we've resolved here tonight, the rest of the items are really outside agency approvals. So there's more approvals they need, but they're not, you know,
So
your decision won't impact.
At this point, we need a documentation of these, acceptance of these waivers that you talked about here.
Well, the step would be to authorize to prepare the final approval resolution, which will document those waiver requests.
Okay.
Based on my April 10th.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
That we authorize that.
Moved and seconded.
With the fee in lieu of
Right.
included in there, that number.
Yeah.
Is that documented already somewhere?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
All right, and next item is the plan submission resolution. That's what Chris alluded to. It's in your packet. It was really just administrative changes. We clarified, there was always some questions about the number of days. We clarified that it's calendar days, not business days, just so some of the submissions, we could count them from the right place. We clarified some of the neighbor notifications to make sure we get those up front. What's an informal and a formal sketch plan, we tried to clarify that. So it's really all administrative. Last year we had changed the number of copies to try and save paper and reduce copies and get electronic copies, so that was already taken care of. It was really just administrative, so it's easier in the office to, no confusion over when somebody submits a plan if we're counting the deadlines correctly.
Does anyone have any questions?
Now, is that resolution prepared and ready to be?
Yeah, as it sits in your packet.
Okay, good. I would make a motion to approve the plan submission resolution.
2019-7.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we move to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thanks, Steve. That's,
Okay.
some nice improvements there.
And then the last item I had under my report was the Township Road bid estimate. You have that in your packet. We listed the same number of roads that we showed for budget purposes in the fall, but 3 of those roads we are showing to be deferred to a future year to come in within the budget amount that you have for paving. So there were 3 roads that we're proposing to overlay: Gameland Road, Lonely Road, the lower end of Lonely Road from Cat Hill to Cat Hill, and Hafler Road. And then there were several roads there you can see listed for oil and chip. We kept the parking lot number separate. Greg advised that he had separate funds for that, not the road paving funds. And I also split it into, if we just overlaid it, it would be $15,000. If we do base repairs for those alligator, damaged areas across the front, that'd be an additional $13,000. So potentially $28,000 if you want to go the full measure to repair the.
Is it advisable to do just the overlay or not, do repairs?
No,
Nope.
but I wanted to give you the option.
I would not go for that.
I wouldn't either.
Now, the other thing, and not to confuse the matter, we have, we're in the process of that plan of realigning
We are.
the entrances. So
And
some of
maybe-
this money you're spending will get ripped out whenever we get to build that. At this point, I don't see an end date for it to be constructed. We're gonna get a plan together and have it sit on the shelf until you have the funding to actually proceed with it. So even though you're, spending some money at that entrance that may ultimately be removed, it's gonna be there for several years until.
It's needed. It's
Yeah.
needed. The driveway, the parking lot's been
Right.
a mess for a while.
And what we're
Question.
suggesting for that other 13,000 is we would mill out essentially the entrance road and the first lane right down past the township building, and then rebase that, and then overlay the whole parking lot.
Steve, Mike, my memory correct, we have approval from PennDOT for that revised plan you had with combining
We
it?
met with PennDOT, and they had no objection to the proposal. We didn't, I'm in the process of finalizing the plan, but I may not even submit it to PennDOT, because their permits are only good for 1 year, and you can only get extended for 1 more year, so it may not be worth, if we don't have a construction date in mind, it's probably not worth it to
Yeah.
go through the effort to get a PennDOT permit, just to have it expire and then have to do the whole process again. But we met with PennDOT, and they had no objection to what we were proposing.
Because that would dramatically, I think, improve the traffic flow there.
Yes,
Between
it
the
would.
park and this facility and
Mhm.
And the
property
and more property.
Yep,
I do think, looking at the future, you know, once we get down the road a little further with the, with this developing of this side of the park, that would be the time when we have to make the decision to do that, which we're a little bit away from that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hearing from PennDOT yet about more
No,
dirt.
we need more dirt, and then we have to revise our trail. You know, we've talked about it at the
Yeah.
Park and Rec
Yeah.
Committee, meeting level. So
or,
that's
or
gonna
if
happen.
something would happen with the school property.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But these are our estimates, so I guess what we're asking for is authorization about the bid. It would be split into 2 bids, a paving bid and an oil bid, and that would be, they could be ready for your next meeting.
I'd make a motion to authorize put out the bid.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, it's been a second discussion. Greg, budget-wise, how does this match up?
With all our budget regulations that we have, if we had more money in the budget, we'd do an extra road.
So we're covered,
We're covered.
okay.
Good.
Okay, in that case, we have a motion on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Move on. Thanks, Steve.
That's all I have unless there's any questions.
Okay. Solicitor's report.
Good
Why
evening.
don't you take the opportunity to introduce yourself to everybody, so.
Good evening, board, and to the public. My name is Will Edinger. I'm from Grimbean and Thatcher, and I'm filling in for West Rockhill's normal solicitor, who is Mary Everly. She's out of the office, just temporarily.
Okay.
So on our agenda, we have the Zimba lease, and that is a lease basically requiring the farmer who's tending to township land, township open space, to change the crop that he's planting. There were some water runoff issues that related to the crop that he was planting, which is corn. As soon as practicable, he is going to change into, I believe, grass, and that should resolve the stormwater runoff issues. And my understanding is he's fine with this lease.
Yeah, the only thing about the lease is he wanted a 5-year lease, because it takes time for the hay to get established. So it was going year to year, and this is now a 5-year lease.
I'm fine with it.
I'm comfortable with
Me
that.
too.
I would just make a comment, just to make a comment. This won't eliminate stormwater from coming off the property.
Right.
We hope it will slow it down some and be
Water,
managed.
water is water.
There will always be a lot of water that comes off of those fields, it's a large.
And as you know, Steve, we have been monitoring this.
Yes.
Greg had Public Works take pictures of the last storm, well, a couple of storms ago.
Yep,
And I viewed it myself in the last storm.
I check on it when I can.
We're looking okay. It looks like it's flowing.
Yes. I just don't wanna make it sound like
Just have to
changing
keep-
the hay
keep the ditches
eliminates
clean.
water.
Right. Right. And we do have some improvements to do on the ditch here yet, which is
Right.
still
Yep.
too wet to get in there, you saw.
Okay.
And this is just authorization for Mr. Lippincott, the chair, I believe, to sign the lease.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd make the motion for authorization of that.
I'll second. 2 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Move on.
And the second and last item on the solicitor's report is the Gottwalls resolution. And I have prepared several copies of the resolution. And this is pursuant to the board's previous discussions on this matter. There were some conditions, I think specifically a fee in lieu of, that's included in this resolution. It's been prepared according to your previous discussions, and I've got it prepared for your signatures.
And the one item, that Mary did want to clarify, was item 4 in the resolution. resolution. If you recall, the Gottwal's intention is to, and I asked Mr. Gottwal, he is here tonight if there is a question. Their intention is to continue to farm the property, not, even though it is a building lot, lot 2 will be a building lot, they have no intention, am I correct?
Correct.
To build on that at this time. So where most of our approvals would require the developer to escrow money for things like stormwater and driveway entrance for the new lot, the way this resolution is written is they need to document inside it and record a restriction against the lot, notifying a property owner that they would have responsibilities to do stormwater and certain improvements, but not require any escrow. So Mary did want the board to make sure that you confirm that was your intent, and that's the way she wrote the resolution. So if everyone's satisfied with that, then this will be acted on the way it's.
I'm satisfied.
I am too. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, just have it.
There's 4 copies there.
It'll be 08,
Go away.
1908.
And that concludes the matters on the solicitor's report.
Nice job.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. I'll make a motion, we approve the solicitor's report as presented.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. We'll give a good report to Mary. She'll probably be disappointed with that, we'll tell us. Okay, next thing on the agenda is, Township Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have the treasurer's report and the bills list. I'll go over the treasurer's report. The general fund has $838,033. Highway aid, $280,211.10. Open space, $919,351.93. The park fund, $10,559.89. The equipment fund, $1,834.02. Highway capital, $127.06. Street light, $30,653.49. The general fund, $343,897.96. Open space manager field, $50,599. Sewage maintenance fund, $170,994.41. The stormwater fund, $6,187.55. Escrow funds, $279,032.74. You also have a copy and list of all the bills.
Anyone have any questions or comments on the treasurer's report?
I have none.
None, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second it.
Moved in second, approve, all subject to audit?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
That's all I have.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Full business. Let's see, my name is listed with Adelphia. I gather there's some people here who want to talk about Adelphia. We struggle with the same issue we have been all along. I have had conversation on the telephone, I've had some response back, but they've not answered any of our questions since February 21st when we met with them, where they promised they would provide response. They have not. I've been talking with the committee separately, and I plan to make a proposal to the board here in this session. But the committee is considering taking a public approach to the press in the form of what we're suggesting at this point, or planning, is an editorial, and we're planning to meet here in within the next week to try to put that together and get that public. An editorial will provide access to a lot of different papers, not just the local papers. And they'll get it also, but in terms of reporting what has or has not been done and what our experience has been in attempting to deal with understanding this. And I'm going to put forth a motion now that the Township of West Rockhill, on behalf of the board, submits to FERC a letter indicating that the attachment contains all the ordinances which are required to be met by anyone who moves or does anything in the township. And I know the word is it's already there on the website and all that stuff, but I think a copy of that going directly to the head of FERC puts another stake in the ground, and that combined with some of the publication work we're going to do, I think, hopefully we'll find out what's really going on, because quite frankly, the people, as I've said before, I continue to say it, the people who identify themselves as Delphia do know nothing. And on a couple of cases, they brought in hired guns, and they virtually knew nothing in terms of answering questions, and we're still waiting for, I'm guessing, probably 15 to 18 questions that we asked at the last meeting back on February 21st. And we have no real concrete answers from them. So that's kind of where it is. I can tell you this, I just attended, along with Jim and Greg, the PSAT's annual education conference, and I met with a number of local communities or townships that are sitting watching what's happening here, because they anticipate and they have some kind of indication that they may be next on the list as far as where they put in another compressor station. So anything you all can do, write to the FERC. You can still write letters to them and complain and get other people to complain. And it's a matter of getting force behind it now. I will say this, that I had a long conversation with the air quality people, which is a separate organization. They have agreed to join in with our citizens group and the township as well to support our position on this. So I think that's a big factor. They play a big role, and they're of the view, and I think we're beginning to understand that even better, that air quality may be the key that may have the most influence on this activity. So that's part of the direction where we're going. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them. I don't have a lot of answers from Adelphia or detail. We now are quite sure that obviously Adelphia's not doing this work, someone else has been contracted to do it. There are a number of companies, probably the biggest one is Williams, and they did the Alaska pipeline, Alyeska, and I personally was involved with them in supplying products to them many years ago. But we suspect that they may be the ones that are involved in this, that we've been isolated from that activity, from learning anything about it. So that's where we are at this point in time. Anybody else have any more information?
I
we're
have
looking
a
to get?
question.
Yes.
This editorial, I'm not sure what direction that's going in. Are you going to talk about the issues we have, what FERC is not doing, or just the ordinances they're breaking, or a little bit of all of it, and will we get a chance to review that before it's?
Yeah, a little bit of all of it, I believe, and we haven't resolved that totally, Jim, but when we do, everybody gets a chance to look at it. In the same way, I'm proposing you two gentlemen to agree to send a letter to FERC and attach our ordinances so that it's on record that they have it, and we're expecting them to comply with them. And one of the big ones, I think, will turn out to be air quality. Now, I had a conversation with a gentleman and a woman relative to talking about ordinances and air quality ordinances, and they're all good concepts. This couple is in the process of trying to sell this system to various municipalities to incorporate in their ordinances. And there are maybe some benefits of that, and we will have an opportunity to talk to them, but it really will not have any significant effect to do it now and put it in place, because this process is already underway. It's something to look at going down the road, and I'm not sure we need to buy it from somebody. I think we're better off working with air quality at no expense to them or to us. So they've done a lot of this before. So, guys, once we get it, everybody will get a chance to look at it. Yes, Dave?
Jeremy, David calling with Mark Road. You say that you have a committee or citizens group gonna meet? When are they next going to meet?
We've just talked about, we haven't identified the date yet. There's a group of 6 or 7 people.
Will that date be available to the public, so if anyone else wants to join?
Well, we haven't had a public meeting. I'll talk with the group, because this is a private group that we joined, has nothing to do with me as being supervisor. It's me as an individual citizen working with a group of people that are working in parallel with what the township is doing,
A
and
West
what other
Rockhill-
residents are
A
doing.
West Rockhill citizen?
Pardon?
Oh, I said a West Rockhill citizen?
Yes, all West Rockville citizens.
I'd like to be involved in that.
Okay. Committee decide that, so we'll submit that. Any gentlemen have any comments other than what I've said? No?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Rosemary in Rich Hill Road. I live adjacent to where the proposed compressor station. And we are just curious about everything, because we haven't had any communication with, Adelphia, as you just mentioned, it seems to fly under the radar. And FERC doesn't even want you to call their offices. I got some intimidating, some people called back and tried to intimidate me for actually having the nerve to, as a tax-paying citizen, to call and ask, to discuss certain things, and how dare you call us and such. So we're just trying to get information too, and this is like the greatest mystery of all times. Like, for instance, we don't know where the construction permit process is at, including with the township. We don't know what's going on with that. We have not gotten any reports or information about any emergency management plans for the surrounding community, which, as you well know at this point, that's a very serious issue to the surrounding community. And then last but not least, FERC is turning a blind eye, and other agencies, to these more impactful state studies that need to be done, like the EIS, which I know your solicitor had sent a letter to FERC back in February, and I don't know if there was ever a response to the request for an impact study, since they're going to be staging the construction on a wetland just north of this site. We're talking about yards away. And as you know, I don't know if you got to see the site, how it what's that word I'm looking, concise it's very small, like, it would,
Simplicity, is that, it doesn't appear to be
I don't know what
possible.
words, it's like crazy is what I call it, but
Right.
it's, because that's a gigantic thing. And we've also been dealing with Clean Air Council. I've been on some of their conference calls, and it really is hard for people to find, for the citizens, the residents, to find a venue of which way to go, because we're new at this also. And I've had several calls into Fitzpatrick's office to do a photo shoot over there. We did do stuff prior to the public hearing. We got in the Inquirer, we got up on WFMZ TV, we did some stuff early on, but what I've come to find out with something like this is you have to sort of keep the ball rolling to keep yourself in the, people, the awareness about it. And somehow that sort of tapers off. People say, oh, well, what can we do? This is Washington DC, and what the heck can we do, And so basically that's it. We just try to keep peddling our wares, and we'd like to get that environmental impact study done. That's a big item.
Yeah, well, those 10 things, they're supposed to be done, and they're saying they will be done, but they're not at that point in time. They started out saying it's gonna be operating in 2019, 2019.
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be already shovels in the ground.
And then you hear more of the facts, that it takes 2 or 3 years to get them up and running, so, I don't know that anybody has any real definition, and what we've seen is some of the information they put out, for instance, a 44-page section on environmental and so forth, and there was one page of those 44 pages that was addressed to the Quakertown Station. They don't have the place named correctly. So,
Excuse me,
we're
was
in the
that
same boat
was
you
that
are.
Adelphia that,
beg pardon?
was that Adelphia's report that you're talking about? The 44 pages?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, there, and the environmental assessment report that FERC, stamped was very, very lame, weak, I thought. That there was no preciseness to any of the,
And that's why we continue to battle, and I think the folks that are on the committee would,
also the historical, properties, which line up that whole road, including ours, is on the, it says here, on their, previously recorded historic properties within proximity to the, compressor station. So our property, it says, recommended as potentially eligible for historic significance, insufficient information to evaluate the National Register eligibility. But that says to me that nobody like followed up on that, and then they just wrote us off under the state office.
have you put it in writing to FERC? If you
No,
have
I
that
just found that when I was
Okay.
printing out some
I
notes.
suggest
that-
put it in writing to FERC.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing and what we're beginning to conclude is the air quality is the name of the game.
Yes,
So,
and I spoke to Jim Rabarchak, he's the, air quality manager at the, regional, and he told me a couple weeks ago that he was willing to conduct a, it's called an air modeling study, on the engines, like the proposed engines. And I guess, I didn't exactly, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an air but it sounded to me like, given that site and those engines, he was going to try to conduct, like
Yeah, well, and they typically do those tests at all sites. How does it apply to this? I don't know. And I really need to move on, but I'd suggest that you got any new information, I can send it to the head of the FERC.
well, they wouldn't talk to me. The guy told me not to call that office anymore.
Well, they don't,
His
they don't,
assistant told me not to call that office
from
anymore.
a legal standpoint, they don't like to have that discussion on
Yeah, but
telephone.
if a citizen who is dealing with this has a question, they're entitled, I'm not in a lawsuit or anything, so I'm entitled to ask questions, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're fighting
Thanks
the same
for-
battle.
Yeah, thanks for your help.
Judy Benninger, hi, good evening. I did I hear you say that you're looking into getting an air monitoring system? Did I hear you say
The
that? Equipment for an air
No, No, I
oh,
don't think I said
well,
that.
can our township get an air monitoring tool so we can have a record of our own for air quality measurements?
Well,
Is
that,
that a possible thing to get
at
for,
this point,
to
I'll
set up?
say I don't know, but I don't think so. I would hate to think of what the cost would be. That's
I
why,
don't know, I don't know what the cost runs
why
for.
we're talking with air management people. They do this all the time, so
Mm-hmm.
they're most likely the one that would conduct that. And they're an organization, they get the money through donations and funds, grants from the government.
Yeah, I don't know how expensive they are, but
But it's
maybe you
impacting
could get
the
it.
township.
What's that?
It's impacting. the
Yeah,
township.
I don't know, how expensive they are, but maybe we can get something. Anyhow, what else was I
We
gonna
noted
say?
that, we'll check it out, see if we can learn.
Yeah, I know you said you have a lot of questions for them when you come and meet with whoever people you have there. But, I wanted to know if maybe you could ask this question of them. Like, when the compressor station has blowdowns and vents, does Adelphia have to give prior notice to West Rockhill Township, or people would be in the impact zone? Or do they, I wonder if they have to notify?
Well, that's an
People.
important aspect, but we're not gonna know that yet. It's too early in the process for them to commit to that, because they're still designing the station.
But, I mean, as far as your questions, you said you have a whole list of questions, so
yeah.
I don't know if that's on your list, but I think.
Blowdown has been a big subject of discussion,
So,
but again, we don't get a lot of answers.
yeah, but,
I was told by,
Wait a minute, let's-
by the
wait a
Clean
minute.
Air Council.
Ma'am, let her finish, please.
Well, we're kind of working.
but I just,
That they are supposed to give you notice, that's all.
Oh, are they? Yeah.
Respond to that.
but, what was I gonna say? If they do give notice, I'm wondering if you could, if you ever find out, could they put it on our township the website, or perhaps mail it to, people who are close to it.
If we get answers, we have the ability to do that.
So I could, yeah, so
We
I
don't get
could,
any answers, so.
because I was advised, like, if they do have them, I should leave the area for a couple days. Anyhow, my other, two other ones, is our emergency management trained specifically for gas compressor stations? Does
We haven't
anybody know
crossed that
that?
bridge yet.
Okay, and then you don't know if our county offers that training? I never, because I don't know if
Well,
they
the
even offer.
county is, in about the same depth we are, as far as we know. That's
Okay.
their statement, yeah.
Correct.
They said no, I talked to them. They said it's the township.
And do you know, here's another question, maybe you
Oh,
could
pass
find
the
out.
buck.
Do you know if Adelphia will be using high tension wiring to run the gas compressor station? That's something I'm curious
No.
about. Will they bring in what kind of wiring will they?
At this point, they won't be doing that.
You don't think they will?
No, they've said no.
Oh, good.
They did get that answer. We don't agree with it, but they said no.
And, also, I just wanted to tell you, when you come down 309 south on 309 and you turn right on Rich Hill Road, well, there's Massey Road there, well, right across the street, it's a down speed limit sign. I think it would be nice to have it put back up.
It will be. Thank you.
And also, one other thing,
Okay,
does anybody take into account all the trash that was picked up? Does it ever get weighed and see how much trash people have picked up? I'm curious.
truckloads, that's all we know.
Truckloads. Okay, thank
Thank you
you.
for doing it. Thank you for your comments.
From the 309. On the road.
Any other questions?
Yes, Pamela and I wrote a letter to supervisors, all three of you. We also addressed it to Mr. Lippincott. Did you receive the letter that we sent to you regarding the compressor?
I'm sorry.
We sent a letter to you,
I'm sorry, can you state your name?
Cliff Cole, Shoecraft Road, Pamela West.
I don't recall seeing that letter.
I don't.
see it either.
How long ago, Cliff?
This week. I mean, it would have, we sent it.
I was out.
We were all-
we were,
We just got back today.
All right, well, do you mind if I read the letter? Do you have a problem with that?
Is it a lengthy letter?
I can read the salient points. How about that?
Okay, you better first, Roy.
Okay, so, please consider this request that the West Rockhill Supervisor immediately call upon the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection to conduct baseline scientific study which meets state and federal standards on public health, air quality, water quality, and soil quality within the communities will be impacted by the Adelphia Gateway Pipeline Project. So we are requesting that you actually call upon the Department of Environmental Protection to make baseline studies, like what was being requested by my neighbors. You mentioned the air, but we